Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Groundhog Day episode of Shakespeare's Coffee Break. I'm your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare, and I am on my coffee break. Let's have a nice noisy slurp to start things off. Which is good internet audio, I don't care who you are. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Groundhog Day episode of Shakespeare's Coffee Break. I'm your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare, and I am on my coffee break. Let's have a nice noisy slurp to start things off. I'm only going to do that to you twice. I'm not going to keep doing that the entire show. Although that would be, in my mind, hilarious if that was the entire half hour, 45 minutes, hour, however long today's show goes. I just keep doing that. Hey, I'm Ned. How you doing? So, friends, we have a delightful show for you today. Rodney Hakim, who is from New York Shakespeare. He is the driving force behind this wonderful organization that is basically here to be a community resource for all things Shakespeare, especially in and around New York City, ranging from performance dates and ticket info to casting calls, books, art, discussions, and more. He's going to be here talking with us, and we're going to find out what makes him tick and why his organization is so great. As you can tell from the Chiron right here, today's show is pre-recorded, so I'm going to be hanging out with you in the live chat as opposed to be talking to you and bringing your comments up on screen. Thanks, as always, to the Jackdaws for providing the music for today's show. Shakespeare approves of this theme song. But now, let me bring on my wonderful guest, Rodney Hakim, Muppet Arms!
Hello, sir. Hello.
Oh, you're doing Muppet Arms too. Are you doing Muppet Arms whilst holding your coffee?
I don't really know how to drink coffee without doing Muppet Arms. So I think you caught me in a moment of indiscretion.
I accept this entire theory.
Goodwill, before we get rolling, I do have to say, you have so many different programs that you do. You are such a prolific artist, whether 400 years ago or today. And I know you have.
I'm a very busy dead man.
You're a very busy dead man. You've aged quite well, I must say. You have your Shakespeare coffee breaks, which I believe this is part of. So I have my coffee, but I know you also have your Shakespeare happy hour. So just to be sure and cover all the bases, I came prepared with a variety of beverage options. I don't have mead, I don't have ale, but I have coffee and I have some booze. So we'll just kind of mix them all up.
You know what? We can make this the happy hour coffee break. I can mix the Chirons here. I mean, look. I mean, there's coffee break. Here we go. See, happy hour up there, coffee break down here. There we go. I mean, it's just it's the happy hour coffee break.
I drink to that. Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Oh goodness.
Pardon, but before we go further, I have to indulge in a big noisy slurp.
Do it. That's how we do. Oh, that's just good internet audio. That is some good internet audio right there.
Absolutely.
You are welcome, internet. You are welcome. See, I'm going to say right here, Rodney is more of a professional than me, because whereas I live in New York State, he's actually in the center of the theatrical universe, New York City.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
So
that's right.
That made that slurp more professional than my slurp.
It's more professional and it's far more expensive. Thus,
absolutely.
Here's another one, just for your benefit.
Thank you. Yeah, that's for those two slurps. If you've never been to New York City, internet, that cost him at least $8.75 right there.
Absolutely. Right. And you know what? Since Times Square is more or less shut down right now. Just generally speaking, because of the coronavirus pandemic or the plague, as you might call it, and you know, given the snowstorm that's happening right now, this is like Times Square coming into your smartphone. So you're welcome, America.
You are welcome. See, this man gives and he gives and he gives.
That's what I'm all about.
Oh my gosh! So I had a friend who lives in where does he live? Washington Heights. And earlier this year...
Wait. Before you go on with your story, he lives or lived? Because usually when you live in Washington Heights, it's a very short-term living.
He lives. He actively lives.
Wow.
He actively lives.
This is a phenomenon. Okay, go ahead.
I know, right? So he actively lives currently in Washington Heights. And decided on one of the earlier weekends of pandemic to go to Times Square, and he set up his phone on a tripod and just started skipping around Times Square, going street corner to street corner to street corner, just dancing in the street. And he says, it was amazing because I never once feared that a cab would honk at me, let alone try to run me over. I said, how many did you see? He said, about 5. I'm like, wow. He goes, it was so creepy and weird, but amazing. He says, you should come do it. I said, dude, I live 3 hours away. I am not doing that. I have other things to do with my life, like be afraid. So
it used to be that if you wanted to spend 3 hours commuting in New York, you would start from one end of Times Square and try to drive to the other end of Times Square, and that would be 3 hours right there. But given the current situation, I think you can get down from Garrison, New York, down to Times Square at about that time.
It was bizarre. And his video, it was amazing just seeing him skipping around, and I'm like, are you going to do anything with this video? He goes, I don't know, maybe I'll put it in a music video, and then people later can be like, oh my gosh, how did he get that kind of access?
Would you say he frolicked?
I would say he frolicked, leapt, and pranced
giddily.
Yeah, quite giddily. But enough about my idiot friends who are all amazing in their own ways. Let's talk about you. You are the driving force behind New York Shakespeare.
Yes, sir.
So let's talk about that. Where did all of this come from?
Well, I spent many years working in and around New York in different facets of the Shakespeare scene as a performer, as a director, as a producer, and various other roles. And I stepped away for several years, and then when I came back to the scene, 2-3 years ago, with social media, and I started to say, hey, let me try to catch up on everything that I missed in the years that I was away. And I found that the scene had expanded so dramatically. There were so many more players, so many more theater groups, so many more people putting out books and films and all kind of different things that were so exciting for me to catch up on. And I kind of looked around to see, well, where can I look and find what's the latest production that's happening and what's the latest film that's being released and the latest book that I can catch. And there was a little bit here and there was a little bit there, but there wasn't any one singular place that had all of that content for an inveterate Shakespeare geek like me. I didn't want to spend half a day going from source to source to source to track all that information down. So I said, well, why don't I make it? Why don't I be that source and compile all that information and present that aggregation of Shakespeare content to fellow inveterate geeks like myself who would be interested in such a thing? And to my delight and surprise, there are quite a number of geeks like myself out there who are quite interested in this content.
Absolutely. And you are very much a wonderful, beautiful clearinghouse of this, and especially in this period, it's become completely invaluable over this last year.
Yeah, especially so during this coronavirus pandemic. Before the coronavirus started, I'd spoken to several people about starting the show that we have. In case your listeners are not, or your viewers are not aware, I have a couple of different shows that I do on my social media channels. One of them is the primary one is the New York Shakespeare Live talk show, in which I chat with different members of the Shakespeare community, including yourself, and they can go back and find the archived interviews. And we had a lot of fun in that discussion, and we talk about what's going on and what the people are doing out there and where they can find your work. And all of that content can be found on our social media channels. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, WordPress. You can just look for New York Shakespeare, either NY Shakespeare or New York Shakespeare spelled out, and you can look up all that archived content. And yeah, so before the coronavirus pandemic set in, I was planning to do these interviews in a format where I was sitting there with the people in front of an audience, and I was talking to a couple of entities about how we would make that happen. But then all of a sudden, March 2020 rolled around, and the coronavirus shut down pretty much everything. So all of a sudden, I saw people popping up on YouTube and Facebook and places like this, and like your program, and it dawned on me that, well, if we're all in this situation where we can't have this real life physical interaction with each other, why not take this concept virtual? And it's been great for me because I don't have to spend as much time schlepping back and forth through Times Square for 3 hours and frolicking from corner to corner like your friend did. But also, it's much easier to corral everyone in this digital format. It's much easier to get people to agree to meet you in a virtual space than in any particular part of town, whether it's uptown, downtown, east side, west side, whatever the case might be, or even upstate New York.
Oh yeah, and it is beautiful. Like some of the people I've had on this show, I would never have thought in a million years I can get on.
Right.
But I mean, owing in part to some people just being bored of like, oh, I have unlooked for time now in my schedule. But also, I'm not asking them to travel anywhere. I'm not asking them to go into a studio to record. It's like, do you have time in your schedule in this block? You don't need to have all the time around it to get to and from.
Right.
And what else can I do that day if I'm going to go downtown or uptown or wherever?
Right.
And I find that this is probably going to be a major way that interview shows continue from here on out. Just, you want to be on my show? Yep, sure. Let me just pop up my iPhone.
Absolutely. You know, in some way, of course, we all hope and pray that the pandemic ends and everyone is healthy and safe and people don't get, sick or anything bad happens to them. But by the same token, in some selfish way, I hope it goes on forever because if not, people are not going to be as willing to sit on Facebook and Instagram. They're going to want to go out. Don't go out, people. It's a trap.
All right. You heard it here first, people. Rodney would like the pandemic to continue
forever.
These are not my words. The words and views espoused by Rodney Hakim do not reflect Shakespeare's coffee break at all. No.
You heard it here exclusively on Shakespeare's coffee break.
No, there are aspects of this that not only do I believe will continue, but I believe should continue. Our access to each other. For instance, I had Nell Benjamin and her husband on the show a couple of months ago. She's the lead writer for Mean Girls and Legally Blonde. And in the past, it'd be like, I can't possibly get her. But getting her on, it's also given me confidence that I can reach out to other people, half of whom have said yes, just simply by sending a Facebook message or an email if I have their own contact, or an email to an agent just saying, hey, can I get them on? And like, yeah, it's totally easy. Yeah, I'll just ask them. And it's fantastic and wonderful. And I hope that aspect stays. And then I'm also hoping that for one of my virtual Zoom shows that I do with casts, that I can possibly get famed Shakespearean actor Sir Ian McKellen on purely for a sandwich. Like, I will send you a sandwich. You will enjoy this sandwich when you do my show. Because I think you will. I feel like he's just, I enjoy various programs, and I don't have to have a green screen. That's fine. And he'll just join me from his loo. And I hope that's how it works from here on out.
Old Willie, I'm starting to feel a little bit slighted. I feel like I didn't get the offer of any type of meat sandwich or any kind of foodstuffs.
Oh my gosh! All right.
I feel a little bit.
You know what? I can offer you. I make a really good omelet. I will make you.
To me. Can you make that omelet and mail it to me?
Yes.
Okay.
Will it still be good?
That's irrelevant. Question. The fact that you mail it to me is all that matters.
Once all this is over, I invite you to come over. I now make amazing omelets. It's all about using a cast iron skillet and then popping it in the oven, and that's the way to do it. And they're fantastic. I make really good. What else do I make? It's good. Pancakes. I make fantastic French toast. I think my personal oeuvre is aimed towards breakfast as my idiom. I believe. But I also do really good Greek food too.
Wouldn't it be better if you did English toast as opposed to French toast, given who you are and the whole thing?
However, our toast is boring. French toast is so much better. It has that soupçon of je ne sais quoi, and it's just amazing.
I'll drink to that. I'll drink a noisy slurp to that.
Cheers, noisy slurp. Oh my gosh!
Fantastic.
So, other than Fourth Folio and New York Shakespeare Live, which people can view on Instagram and YouTube, etc., have you through New York Shakespeare considered producing any stage productions once all of this is over?
Oh my goodness! Yes, in fact, we are. This is in the planning stages now. We have a whole bunch of things that are in the planning stages, including productions, Zoom productions, or something like that, where we're going to be gathering some of the previous guests that we spoke to, and in my estimation, some of the best actors in New York, and asking them to gather for, if I may say, all-star productions of New York Shakespeare via Zoom. So yeah, that's definitely something that's in the works. We're not quite there yet. We have a couple other things that are going to be rolling out before that. But yes, that's definitely something that's in the planning stages and will be coming up from our social media channels in the near future.
Oh, that sounds amazing! And if I can bribe you with not just an omelet, but an entire breakfast platter.
As long as it all fits in an envelope.
To include me. It's going to go in a box, and maybe I'll even insulate it with like ice packs. And then, if I shoot fast, it'll get to you, and you'll be like, this is really good.
Will it be hot? But
you're going to have to heat it up yourself.
Don't forget it.
No! Oh, damn, blast. I almost had it. I was going to say, get Lin-Manuel. And get me in a Zoom room together. Nothing else will happen. It'll just be him. Every interview I've seen, it's just him going 1,000 miles an hour. And every interview I've either been in or conduct, it's mostly just me talking. So the two of us together, that's all the world needs.
You, me, Lin-Manuel, Ian McKellen, French toast. Call it a day.
Get Dame Judi Dench in there. Dame Judy.
All right. I thought it was like a bro thing, but sure. Yeah. All right. If that's where you want.
You don't think that Dame Judy could? You don't think that Dame Judy could bro down? I think she could.
She might. Although the sexual tension between her and Ian McKellen, it's you can cut it with a knife, but.
Now I want there to actually be that, but him dressed up as Gandalf the entire time. So, it's like, why? Because I want her to be dressed as Queen Elizabeth II, and I want him to be dressed as Gandalf. And you
wouldn't go with Magneto in that scenario?
No. No.
Okay. All right.
No. I want Gandalf. And I want Patrick Stewart to also be there. Well, as Captain Picard, not as Professor Xavier, and be like, "This is entirely unexpected."
Engage.
I believe that Her Majesty the Queen and Gandalf will engage. Just like, Sir Pat Stew here for the bad puns. Thank you, sir. Oh, it'd be amazing. And then Lin-Manuel's just making songs about it, and I'm just here going, "Yay, dance monkeys, dance!"
He's freestyle rapping in the corner. Absolutely.
I take my money now. All right.
And that's coming up next from New York Shakespeare.
You hear the internet? We got ideas, and this is going to happen.
We consent to the coronavirus pandemic ending just so we can make that happen.
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing and delightful. It ends not because the world has come to a stop, not because of sadness and tragedy, not because scientists have finally got a good vaccine, but because we got all of these amazing people in the room, and because Rodney Hakim and Shakespeare said so. It's like,
cheers.
End it now.
I drink that.
All right, we're done. Right, coronavirus is over. We solved it.
Exactly.
So I have to ask, what kind of coffee are you drinking, right?
The kind that has Bacardi rum in it. The- apparently. which is
What
actually
day
a very
drinking
interesting
here?
combination. It's I mean, as much as I'm an inveterate Shakespeare geek, I'm also an inveterate coffeeaholic. So
Me too.
the more caffeine I have in me, the better it is. At any time, day or night.
Yeah, that's it's a good call. I have to recommend to you. They are, and I am not getting any money from this. They are not a sponsor of the show or anything.
Hmm.
But I have to recommend to you Mocha Origins, Moka
Okay.
Origins. They are a small coffee roaster maker. I don't know
Hmm.
exactly how you would say it.
Hmm.
Also, chocolate company based in northeastern Pennsylvania in Honesdale.
Hmm. Okay.
Uh, the factory, the chocolate and coffee factory, is on the grounds of the Himalayan Institute. So go do
Mm.
yoga, learn how to become at peace with the universe, get some really amazing coffee and phenomenal chocolate bars. And everything is ethically sourced, absolutely wonderful.
Hmm.
But oh my gosh, some of the best coffee I've ever had is from them. I'd say everyone use my code, but I don't have a code. I am just a fan. And Mocha, if you're watching, I will send you more money. I just want you to know. But also, give me a
Good to
code.
know. Good to give the guy a code. Come on, Mocha.
Mocha,
Come on,
give me a
Mocha.
code. Mocha, come on, just you and me. Jeff, owner of the company, Jeff. Just you and me now. Rodney's not even paying attention. I
I'm
mean,
not.
it's just
I'm busy with my coffee. I'm busy.
he's busy with his
Um,
coffee. Jeff, give me a code. Come on. All right. So anyway, back to that. Pop quiz, real quick.
yes, sir.
What is your favorite Shakespeare play that you have ever read?
Hmm. My favorite Shakespeare play that I ever read is Othello. That's always been my favorite because it is the first one that I was ever exposed to. And
Really?
I've told this story a couple of times. My swarthy self, I'm of Middle Eastern descent. So growing up in school, when I was maybe, I don't know, seventh, eighth grade, somewhere in that range, uh, I felt just a little bit different than a lot of my peers, and I didn't see reflections of people of my appearance very much in the things that I was reading and the things I was seeing on TV. And then I came across this version of Othello back in middle school. And in this particular copy of Othello, I don't remember what publisher it was. The cover had, I think it's Laurence Olivier on there, but he was in, I guess you would call it brown face at this point, where he was made up as the Moor, but not as a black man, but as a Middle Eastern man, which is another variation of how a Moor would be depicted. And for me, seeing that depiction of a Middle Eastern man in a very colorful garb, which looked a lot in a very strange way like what I saw with my various uh, erratic family members growing up. It was a very strange thing that I saw some kind of visual representation of what I was familiar with that I hadn't seen elsewhere, and that hooked me in visually. But then once I got into the text and the story, and all of the wonderful things that are part of Othello, I was transfixed, and I was hooked from thereafter.
Fantastic. I've You're the first person I've ever actually heard that Othello was their intro to Shakespeare, and that
Yeah,
is
yeah.
oh,
I mean, usually it's Romeo and Juliet, and in some cases it's something else. But and I might have had some small exposure to that beforehand. But the one that I remember really spending the most time with in school was Othello, and for me it just happened to be that was what connected with me personally the most.
all right. Well, that's wonderful. Now, next part of the quiz. What is your favorite Shakespeare play that you have seen or been a part of?
Oh goodness. Well, I've at various times of the years I've been in or produced or done readings of or whatever, pretty much the whole canon, plus some of your apocryphal works, which we'll talk about in a bit. But
We
yeah,
don't
I mean,
talk about those.
yeah, I mean, there's so many. I mean, of course, kind of the default answer is always Hamlet. Hamlet was always considered the greatest play in Western literature, and but I think there's something about Othello that keeps on drawing me back. Between Othello and another one that I really love is Antony and Cleopatra. Something about that
Ooh,
one really really grabs me. Also, I've always found the some of the character depictions in that one and just some of the language just so it just really grabs me. So I would say those two are probably my two top choices: Othello and Antony and Cleopatra.
fantastic. Yeah, Antony and Cleopatra. Not one I would hear very often. You often would hear Julius Caesar before that one, but Antony and Cleopatra is in quite a few ways a far superior piece to its predecessor, Julius Caesar. Just in as much that it does a much bigger job of world building than Caesar does.
Right, right. And I had we were having a discussion on one of our programs recently. We did one of our fourth folio episodes, which, as opposed to our interview shows, that's one where we do a deep dive into one Shakespeare play per episode. And one of the ones we recently did was Coriolanus, and as part of that discussion, we kind of broadened the scope to all the Roman plays, and we kind of spoke about how Antony and Cleopatra is a much more regal depiction of the Roman leadership, whereas Julius Caesar, it's much more it's much more volatile with the way that Caesar is betrayed by his peers, and there's much more of the political the machinations. Yes, there is that also in Antony and Cleopatra, but it's more of that central love story between him and Cleopatra that supersedes all the other stuff. So that's I think that's just a fantastic play.
Absolutely. Oh, bravo! Your answer is correct. Your answer is correct, by the way.
Can I tell you a funny story while we're on this topic? And you mentioned our mutual friend Patrick Stewart just a moment ago.
Yeah, we're very tight. We are very tight. Me and Sir Pat too.
The two of you. So I know that. Many years ago, maybe 20 years or so ago, at the university that I went to, they had, I think I had graduated, and maybe they had an alumni event or something like that. And it was Patrick Stewart doing a command performance of, it was a one-man show. It was just Patrick Stewart doing like a command performance of all of his favorite Shakespeare monologues. And I remember he really luxuriated in the speech of Enobarbus from Antony and Cleopatra. And he had a whole thing set up on the stage, and he had the grapes, and he had the this, and the figs, and whatever. And I just remember him speaking that language, and it was so fantastic the way he embodied the role of Enobarbus, and the way he would pluck a grape and put it in his mouth at a certain point during the speech, and it was just amazing. And I remember being the Shakespeare geek that I was, and at the same time as I was a Shakespeare geek, I was also a huge Patrick Stewart fan. I still am a huge Patrick Stewart fan, and at that time, this is probably the mid to late 90s. This was right around the time where he was coming off of being Picard, and he was about to be Charles Xavier in the X-Men movies. So he was huge for me at that time. So to see this pop culture figure who was at the apex of all that sci-fi stuff, and also being the masterful Shakespearean that he was, to see him do all these monologues was fantastic. So the show ends, and he gets this huge round of applause from the people that were in attendance. And I go out back, and I see him being loaded into his limo. And I run up to the limo, and I ask him to roll down the window. And there he is, Patrick Stewart, sitting there in the limo right in front of me. And I start to spill out my praise to him of Sir Patrick. I'm such a fan, and I was so impressed by your work, and that Enobarbus speech was so. He's like, yes, that's fantastic. Engage, and off you go. And brilliant. Off he goes into the night.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
I didn't get a signature. I didn't get nothing.
That's great. I've heard that he is by turns very warm and engaging, but then also very, I don't have time for this, I've got to go.
Right.
It just depends on when you catch him.
I think he had something more important to do than to sit and schmooze with me at that particular moment in time.
I disagree.
But now with the power of your show, Shakespeare.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
He's
you are going to
he's
get
coming begging. He's
you're going to
coming
you're going to get your after how season 1 of Picard went. Yeah, he is. He is. Yeah.
If you want this real streaming resource, Sir Patrick Stew, New York Shakespeare,
Right, yeah.
social
Get
media.
on,
That's right.
get on over here, Sir
That's
Pat
right.
Stew.
And
I don't care how many. I don't care how many Instagram followers you got.
I've got a little bit of Bacardi left, and it's got your name on it.
Oh, see, Rodney can give you some Picard. That's right. That's right.
That's like Michael Bublé. He has the bubbly
Yes.
drink. Now we're gonna pitch this. This is gonna be a pitch to Patrick Stewart.
Picardy. Yeah.
Picardy.
That's right.
Picardy by Picardy.
We don't need Chateau Picard. No, we got Picardy rum. That's right. Come at me, internet. Come at me.
And it's Earl Grey. Kiss my grits.
Why? Why?
Why not?
Oh,
Why not? Because we can. Because
Fair
we
enough.
can.
I accept that answer. Now, real quick, you had mentioned some of the apocryphal plays you want to talk about for a moment.
Yes.
So, how that?
Okay, so one of the reasons that we do the Fourth Folio series is that that's actually something that we did theatrically in New York for a period of time several years ago. We did this thing, myself and my co-host for that series, his name is Jay Michaels. He's been a veteran producer and director around New York for many years. And one of the projects that he and I worked on in the past theatrically, but now are reprising via social media and the internet, is this thing called, as I mentioned, the Fourth Folio series. And the whole idea behind the Fourth Folio is that we explore the works that are presented in each of the various folios, but the fourth folio is the one where you start to see some of those apocryphal works creep in. And after Shakespeare's death, after his compatriots compiled all of his plays and presented them in a book format, not just the quartos, the full-on folio, there was a profligation of more and more plays that suddenly, after Shakespeare's passing, had Shakespeare's name on them. So what exactly was the nature of those? Is that something that you contributed to in some way before you passed? Some collaboration, a passing of the torch with John Webster and some of the others, or was it something that you did? Was it like Tupac, where you recorded all these albums before you, wink wink nudge nudge, passed, and then you release one per year just to keep the money rolling in? Well,
as you can see, just like Tupac, I am very much here.
Just
like Prince, I am very much. I want the access to the Prince vault, by the way.
I think we all need it. Need it.
Seriously, I'll even take his lesser stuff. But in terms of collaboration, any collaboration with John Webster, that was a mistake. That was done under duress and for the money. But let's look at King Edward III. That is such a beautifully imperfect play. I mean, because parts of it are so good, and then some parts of it are such crap.
Yes, they are.
But
I'm sure you wrote the good parts, and your
absolutely.
ghostwriter wrote the rest of it, right?
I am nearly willing, and I'm sure I'm not alone on this. I'm nearly willing to attribute the entire play to Shakespeare, because things such as King Henry VI Part 3 has some parts that are beautiful, and then some parts again that are such crap.
Yes,
and it's like, is this the same guy? Yeah, yes, it is.
There was a production I did many years ago where this group that I was working with at that time, they were trying to do a presentation of the entire Henry VI cycle, Henry VI parts 1, 2, and 3, and then ending with the beginning of Richard III. Yeah. And I remember as we were going through that series, and we were trying to cut together which scenes from the three plays we would present to fit into one evening. I remember Henry VI Part 3 had just a little bit more cutting than the other ones, just because there's a little bit extra bloat in there, shall we say.
There really is. But also, everything betwixt Richard and George, later George Duke of Clarence, is fantastic.
Right.
In Henry VI Part 3. And you have, and then you have why he hates the future queen. I mean, you have all of it. It's just like, no, I hate it.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely that. There's some of the best stuff in that whole series and that whole cycle is right there in Part 3. And yeah, there's some beautiful scenes in there, some beautiful moments. For me, there's the some of the stuff where Henry is in his final moments, and he's adopted the life of the simple life as a shepherd. And he has that beautiful speech, and there's some other things in there. They're just fantastic before his demise. But it's beautiful text. But there's a lot of crap as well.
Oh, so much.
There's a lot of crap, and some of those apocryphal plays. Edward III, as you mentioned, Cardenio is another one. Cardenio, there's some good stuff in there, but there's just a lot of. There's just some miserable stuff in there as well.
For a while, they were saying that Troilus and Cressida could not possibly have been written by him, and then, no, it is.
Right. I've heard that about pretty much anything other than the main 4 tragedies and the main 6 or 7 comedies. Is it pretty much if they're in bad in any way, it's then the likelihood is that someone else participated or wrote it on your behalf. Or what?
Just no, it's a new play by Shakespeare. Go see it.
Let's resolve this now. Something that I've grappled with at various moments during our Portfolio series and at other times is the Shakespeare authorship issue. And there are some people that just don't want to deal with it. They don't want to hear about it. Let's put it to red right now. Let's finish it up. Tell me what's the you're the man behind the pen. What's with the quill, or rather? What's the scoop? What happened?
Here's my answer. Here's my answer. I have a hashtag. You ready for it?
Yeah. What's up?
Hashtag suck at Derek Jacobi. Yeah. That is my answer. That is my answer. There you
go. I'll drink to that. I have to
yeah. No. I mean,
because if there's any Shakespearean that needs to suck it, Derek Jacobi is the one. I agree.
And he is a brilliant performer and director.
Yeah.
But on that, he's wrong. He's wrong. He needs to sit there in his wrongness and be wrong.
But Derek Jacobi, this coffee, not for you. Suck it. That's right.
Yeah. You know what, Derek Jacobi, though? You want to come on the show? You're welcome to, man. I mean,
but not in the episode.
I absolutely love you in Gladiator and in I, Claudius and in Doctor Who. I mean, I love your performances, man. You're just wrong.
Yeah,
you're just wrong. Oh, sweet God. No. I think it is the height of elitism to say that a kid who grew up middle class in the emerging middle class that was Tudor England could not write this without a university education or without being a member of court. I think that is I think it's folly. I think it is saying that only the ultra educated or the ultra well connected or the ultra wealthy need apply to that profession, whereas you have folks nowadays, and granted, you can't make a 1-to-1 comparison, but you can make enough of a comparison of Lin-Manuel Miranda writing Hamilton or In the Heights or the music of Moana. You have such a very average upbringing. You have Stephen Sondheim before him, average upbringing. You have just anybody. Throw a stone, you're going to have a playwright or a screenwriter or a novelist or a poet who have just such normal, regular people backgrounds that it insulting to say that at a point where literacy was only just starting to become the norm in England, that a regular person couldn't have done it.
Absolutely.
I find it as a member of this profession insulting, and also the theories don't hold water. So Shakespeare couldn't have plays posthumously published, but Oxford could have 25-ish plays published posthumously. Come on.
Right.
Oh, and we're just gonna do them out like once a year or so. Oh, it's actually a conspiracy. It's Oxford and Bacon. Oh, and Oxford's son-in-law. It's like, come on, come on. No,
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, I mean, even if you want to extend it past people that are in the arts, if you want to go to the sciences, look at Albert Einstein. You know, he famously failed out of high school or something like that, and all of a sudden he's the one of the greatest thinkers in modern history. So it's I don't think I agree with you. It's a elitist mentality to think that only the people that have so and so highest level education could produce these master works. Even people that are some of the leaders in the industry now, whether it's film, theater, TV, whatever, writing, whatever the case might be, they aren't necessarily always people that were the Harvard graduates. It's people that have that they're a savant for that particular segment of the industry, and they absorb all the things that are happening around them. Shakespeare was in the middle of a very cosmopolitan London, and was seeing and listening and hearing so many things that were happening around him.
Exactly.
Sitting in the bars, he was carousing with the actors, with the and as he moved up in society, he became more deeply enmeshed with the upper class. In 1601, with the ascension of King James I, he became the leader of the King's Men. His troop became the official group of court. So, of course, he's going to pick up more and more things from the royalty that's surrounding him. So it only stands to reason that he's picking up everything that's happening with him and synthesizing it into these plays.
Rodney, I like you so much. Oh my gosh, you just said in 90 seconds everything I've been saying for years. That actors and writers listen. We pick things up, and people are like, "Oh, well, only a lawyer could write it like that, or only a seafarer could write like that." It's like. Or someone who has picked up enough wordplay from sailors, or someone who picked up wordplay from lawyers can write bad law and bad sailing, which is what Shakespeare wrote. I mean, come on.
Right. Absolutely. I don't know. I told you already. I've already come clean the fact that I'm a total Shakespeare geek. I'm a sci-fi nerd. I'm a coffee-aholic. I'm also a rabid comic book fan, and I'm a total geek for superheroes and things like that.
Who's your superhero?
So many. I pick any one of them. But for me, one of the things that just to kind of correlate to this discussion, one of the things that was like the most exciting thing ever, maybe 15 or 20 years ago, there was this animated show called the Justice League back in, I don't know, maybe like, what was it, like 2003 or 4? I don't know when it was. And that was by this artist by the name of, this writer by the name of, it's Bruce Timm.
Bruce Timm was the illustrator, yeah.
Okay, so he's also the lead writer and the lead producer behind Justice League and Batman, the animated series, and a whole host of those, Batman Beyond, and a whole bunch of those animated shows. And Bruce Timm, if you listen to any of the interviews with him, he'll talk about how he flunked out of some of the schooling he was doing, and a lot of the stuff that he did was all just his own creations. He's self-taught. He's a self-taught artist and animator, and he ended up writing these shows, that Batman the Animated Series and all these other ones, that totally changed the direction of how these world-renowned characters are being presented in the modern era. You have even the character of Harley Quinn, who has her own movies now and who's a big deal right now. She started on the Batman animated series as a creation of Bruce Timm.
And Paul Dini, who was the head writer on that show for the first 2 years.
Exactly. So those two guys, guys who are kind of self-taught, they're not Harvard graduates that came out with the pedigree, as long as they're asleep. These are guys that are self-taught. They just kind of made it up as they went along, and they made up what fit for the situation and what fit the show that they were writing. And then everyone kind of caught wind of it and said, well, hey, that's really amazing, and let's make that canon now. Let's make that mainstream Batman lore. So that's for me in many ways, that's very parallel to what's happening with Shakespeare. Is that he's this guy he's very bright. He doesn't necessarily have the fancy education, but he doesn't need it because he listens, and he's someone who thinks on his feet, and he picks up what's going on around him, and has his own unique slant where he can take that and put it into a format that everyone kind of catches on and says, hey, that's a pretty cool way to present a Moor. I didn't think of that. I was only thinking of the so-and-so, or, Shylock. That's an interesting presentation of a Jew. I had only seen the Jew of Malta before that. Forget this Marlowe guy. This Shakespeare. This young guy's got
that Marlowe guy. Yeah.
Right. This guy's got the stuff.
Right. I mean, and that just comes back to this hashtag Suck at Derek Jacobi.
That's what it's all about. That's if I could synthesize the whole evening's discussion. That's it. That's it.
Oh,
right there. It's more about that.
Well done, you. Oh, that's
yes, sir.
On that.
Yes, sir.
Today's guest, of course, is the great and good Rodney Hakim of New York Shakespeare. Go and follow them everywhere. NYShakespeare.com, Facebook.com/NY Shakespeare, Twitter, NY Shakespeare, Instagram, New York Shakespeare, spelling it out there. I like that. And you can watch Portfolio on YouTube and New York Shakespeare Live on Instagram, and then replay the bits on YouTube as well. And you can also check out the blog at newyorkshakespeare.wordpress.com.
That's right. And if you check out that blog, our most recent blog entry was our year-end awards for 2020, in which we encapsulated everything that we caught in the wild world of Shakespeare during the pandemic era 2020. And we had our award recipients, one of whom is our fine colleague, Shakespeare right here, who was our winner in the audience interactive category. So hooray to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And it is a huge honor to be recognized as that. So thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I will be mailing you an omelet sunny side up in a piece of postal mail.
How do you do an omelet sunny side up? I'm confused. Right.
Don't question it. Just
all right. I won't. I will just eat it. All right. Oh my goodness. Such a delight to have Rodney on the show today. And make sure to go check out everything he is up to. Now, friends, remember, Shakespeare's Coffee Break is on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays at 10:35 a.m. Eastern Time. Tomorrow, Wednesday, February 3rd, we're going to have the production crew behind the New Jersey Renaissance Fair joining us. They're going to be talking to us about what they're going to be doing for this first quasi-post-COVID year, and how the safety procedures are going to be working, and just also the business of putting up a Renaissance fair. Thursday morning at the same time slot, 10:35, we have Writing Sonnets with Shakespeare. And then on Friday morning, same time slot, Life's Affairs Shakespeare Reviews. It's the movie review show I do with Andrew McKee, the Irish Bard. Do join me for all of those shows. And then Friday night, yes, Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central, we're going to be having the very first portion of Shakespeare's Friday Night Concert Series, which is going to be featuring Drunk and Disorderly, New York City band. Drunk and Disorderly is going to be joining me. Doors open at 7:30 p.m. on Zoom. Concert starts at 8, and we're going to be doing a hangout afterward. If you are one of my patrons on Patreon, you can join us for free. Otherwise, tickets are only $5 a piece, available on Eventbrite. Come and join us. It's going to be an amazing, wonderful, great, and good time, and you want to be here for it. So, friends, basically, that is about it. If you enjoy the show half as much as I enjoy making it, I obviously enjoy it twice as much as you do. And that's called maths. And whatever you felt the show was worth, a 1, a 5, a 10, for a 50, I will come and stand in your front garden and just continually say, suck it, Derek Jacobi. I will bring a hashtag sign that just says it. I will hold it up like I am Lloyd Dobler in your front garden. I will do that. Throw it into my hat. And by hat, I mean coffee.com/Shakespeare. ko-fi.com/Shakespeare, and buy me a cup of coffee. Or you can become a Patreon of the arts by going to patreon.com/Shakespeare and being a monthly supporter. Tiers start at $3, go all the way up to $30. And right now, all the tiers are getting the exact same rewards because I want everyone to have access to the weirdness and silly. And one of the rewards right now is getting to go to the Friday night concert series for free. So please consider becoming a Patreon of the arts. And that is about all we wrote for today. I love you. You love me. There's mutual glorious affection. Thank you to our guest, Rodney Hakim of New York Shakespeare. Go give him all the love as well. And friend, I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.